4 years ago, when we started Under the Bun, we started with a review of Doom 2016. It was a game that we both loved, and if you saw my recap video from a few weeks ago, I went as far as to even call it a near-perfect game. And here we are, finally talking about the follow-up, Doom Eternal. Both Juan Snow and myself will both be giving our opinions for this game, so you will get two different opinions going into varying degrees of depth for different topics. So I love first-person shooters. It's probably my most played genre of game, and standing on a pedestal high above all other shooting games, looking down from a throne made of dead demons, sits the greatest shooting series of them all, Doom. And I mean that in both terms of the classic Doom 1 and 2 standing above their counterparts from the 90s, and Doom 2016 standing above its counterparts of today. You can watch our video from 4 years ago if you want to know my complete thoughts on Doom 2016. My opinion really hasn't changed much. If anything, my love for the game and series has just gotten stronger over time. And with each playthrough, Doom 2016 reignited my obsession with boomer shooters. And after playing it numerous times, I anxiously awaited a follow-up to it. 4 years later, after a delay, I finally got my follow-up in the form of Doom Eternal. But is Doom Eternal the follow-up that I wanted? Does it hold up to the high standards I have placed after 2016? How does it feel compared to other games that have been released since the boomer shooter boom of recent years? Well, let's descend into hell and take a look.
Nearly 60% of our planet has been consumed by the invaders.
We have the Hellpriest signal locked in. The target is marked, but the signal will not hold for long.
For it is he that they fear, not man, or his armies. They fear the mark of the beast.
Doom Eternal released on March 20th, 2020, and honestly, it's been a bit of a weird time living in the throes of this pandemic. My job is currently on lockdown, so I had 2 whole weeks to play the game and formulate my thoughts. I bought the collector's edition of the game on PC. It came with an art book, a soundtrack on cassette with a digital download for it coming later, a steelbook with no CD, which is kind of weird and a fucking letdown, but it's expected with PC these days. The coolest inclusion of all is the Doom helmet. It's pretty awesome. You can wear it. It lights up. I enjoy wearing it. It's fun. Leading up to its release, after the first trailer, I was really excited for the game. Then I began to hear some things about how the game was going to be more story-focused and how there would be a hub world, and I started to get a little concerned, especially when they announced that there would be third-person cutscenes, and, it made me nervous. Part of what made 2016 so great was how they just literally shoved exposition to the side in favor of pure, unfiltered gameplay. How dare they insert cutscenes in my Doom game? But then I saw the gameplay videos released and all the worries were washed away. To ultimately say I was hyped would be an understatement. So let's get right into it and start with a story discussion. I will leave my spoilers for the story till the end. I'll give you a warning and a timestamp so you can avoid anything if you don't want to hear them. And you can listen on without fear. So for starters, I do think you need to play Doom 2016 to understand the backstory of Eternal. And playing the other 4 games, 1, 2, 3, and 64 would go a long way to helping you understand some of the subtle details, references, and Easter eggs. If you want to fully enjoy the story, I don't think that Eternal is the kind of game you can just jump into new. That said, the story really does take a back seat compared to other games. It is more more prominent than it is in 2016, and you will have some cutscenes here and there, but overall Eternal just lets you jump into the game and play, and the story, you can take it in as much as you want, and much to my relief and joy, the cutscenes aren't really obtrusive, lengthy, or plentiful. I think the longest one was like maybe a minute or two in length. In my 20-hour-ish run, I think there might have been a max of like 10 minutes at the most devoted to cutscenes, and that's being really generous, which is a definite plus for me. Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus, this is not. Anyways, the story basically follows the ending of Doom 2016 and is almost a re-envisioning of Doom 2 Hell on Earth, in that the demons have invaded Earth, Earth is in ruins, and it's up to Doom Guy to single-handedly fuck up their day. Oddly enough, the game canonizes Doom 1, 2, 3, 64, and even elements of the old comic book, which I thought was pretty interesting and kind of cool. So, even though Eternal comes off as a retelling of 2 initially, it's actually a sequel, making this technically the second time the demons have invaded Earth, and another time that Doom Guys had to fuck up their day. And once again, the Doomslayer does not give a shit, ignoring orders, giving angry glares to everyone he can, and straight up blowing a hole in Mars because he can.
I'm serious, that guy doesn't scare me. I'd like to see him try.
That control pod contains the energy source of the BFG 10,000. I'm lowering it for you now.
I'm telling you, he's on his way. I need you to...
The story is minimal, and overall it's not that important, so now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's get into what really matters, the gameplay. Going off of gameplay alone, like 2016, Eternal is a near-perfect game. I honestly do not have many complaints about it. Doom Eternal is fast, it's visceral, and it requires skill and precision in its combat arenas. Like in 2016, the game consists of traveling through a level until reaching the arena section, no pathway or door out, the only option is to kill every fucking demon in your way. This is the core of the gameplay. The gunplay is smooth, it feels great, guns are responsive, and have a very satisfying visual and sound effect to them. The great thing about Doom Eternal is that you can play at whatever difficulty that you want and cater to your own preferred skill level. It has the difficulties I'm Too Young to Die, which is easy, Hurt Me Plenty, which is normal, Ultra Violence is hard, Nightmare is very hard, and then they challenge mode Ultra Nightmare, which features permadeath and no continues. New or bad at shooters but still want to have fun, go ahead and play on I'm Too Young to Die. Enjoy shooters but want more to focus on the story, then play on Hurt Me Plenty. I started the game on Nightmare, and the footage shown is based on that difficulty. There's also a modifier called Extra Life Mode that can be applied to any difficulty. It makes level select impossible and adds permadeath if you run out of lives. That's right, lives. Doom Eternal adds extra lives to the mix. If you die with an extra life, you get right back up where you died. But if you run out of lives, you will restart from the checkpoint. It's a nice balancing feature that you can use or turn off based on your preference, and it can be exploited and abused, where you can stock up on extra lives and get past those tricky parts. Definitely makes the game easier for sure, but overall it's a feature that I don't mind. The combat loop is similar to that in 2016, but more refined. I like to think of Doom 2016 as the beta for Eternal almost. The ideas were presented in 2016 and ramped up to 11 and perfected for Eternal. 2016 got you familiarized with glory kills, using the chainsaw to refill ammo, staying moving and offensive to avoid unnecessary damage, and quickly switching between different weapons for different kinds of encounters. Eternal ramps that up, making ammo more scarce, but putting your chainsaw on cooldown, meaning that you need to use the chainsaw more frequently to get ammo. It also adds a flamethrower, which is needed to quickly refill your armor. Adds the blood punch, which is basically a powered up melee attack, and is filled by pulling off glory kills. Glory kills refill your health, just like in 2016. They also added a freeze grenade, which gives you breathing room during tough fights, and a dash ability, which increases your speed and movement. Overall, the game is faster and more chaotic, and I think it is better for it. Some people don't like the decrease in total ammo and the need to constantly use the chainsaw, but it doesn't bother me at all, and I think it's a non-issue. It also just adds a layer of chaos to the gameplay and gives you another reason to keep moving. There's always a minor demon in your way to kill with the chainsaw, so get good and stop bitching. And to those who think Eternal is slower than 2016, here's some side-by-side footage. They're both on Nightmare difficulty. Eternal is definitely faster. Doom traditionally has 8 to 10 weapons, including similar versions of guns. Eternal is no different. The biggest difference is that the pistol does not make a return. This is the first Doom game without a pistol, and I didn't miss it. Because honestly, once you get a new gun in literally any Doom game, I never use that fucking thing again. Instead, in Eternal, your first weapon slot is taken up by the combat shotgun, and the other weapons include the chainsaw, the heavy cannon, which is this game's assault rifle, the rocket launcher, the plasma gun, a heavy ballista, which is a railgun, which is replacing 2016's Gauss rifle, the chain gun, the famous BFG, and my favorite weapon of all, the super shotgun. New to the fray are the Crucible, which is the Doom's version of a lightsaber, which makes short work of even the toughest enemies, and the Unmaker, which actually comes from Doom 64 and is a fast-shooting laser rifle that shares ammo with the BFG. All weapons are unlocked through story progression except for the Unmaker, which is unlocked by completing certain challenges called Slayer Gates, and some of those are quite a bitch. Like in all Doom games, there's secret areas to explore, collectibles to find, cheat codes to unlock, and hidden challenges to overcome. The collectibles are all viewable from your Fortress of Doom, the hub world and home of the Doomslayer. There you can see all the toys you collected, unlock upgrades, and find Easter eggs, and listen to soundtracks that you find in the worlds. I didn't mind the hub world at all. Like I thought that I would. I was expecting to hate it, I was expecting it to break up pace, and I actually thought it was pretty cool to explore. The upgrades were, of course, necessary, and I enjoyed seeing all the Easter eggs and everything that I collected. So, another thing I thought I wasn't going to like that I did not mind at all. Welcome Edition. Some of these challenges are pretty difficult, and I'm not afraid to admit that I did my fair share of cheesing through them. Taking advantage of a despawn exploit for one challenge in particular, and often coming back to a level when I had BFG ammo to help with a particularly difficult challenge. Though for me, the difficulty for these challenges came from the time limit placed upon them more than the actual fights themselves. But for added challenge, you can get through the master levels, which are remixed versions of campaign levels with more and tougher enemies to fight. They're actually pretty cool. They're pretty fun. A lot of fun, really fast. And like in 2016, you also get upgrades in the form of suit upgrades, runes, and weapon upgrades. Weapons can be upgraded with mod enhancements and then upgraded a third time by completing some sort of kill challenge with that weapon. One improvement that I like compared to 2016 is that if you missed a secret, you could fast travel between checkpoints after completing a level. Before going on to the next one. It made secret hunting a lot more manageable instead of having to continuously replay levels to find things that you missed. That said, it is a lot easier to find secrets this time around because they literally show up on your map from the early game. Some of these upgrades are useful, and some I barely used at all. One I particularly liked, or the ones for weapons that I particularly liked, were the lock-on mod for the rocket launcher, which shoots multiple rockets at once, creating devastating damage, the sticky grenade for the shotgun, which insta-kills smaller enemies, and sets up cacodemons for glory kills, and can also destroy enemy weapons. Both of the heavy cannon upgrades are pretty useful. The rockets are of course devastating for crowd control, and the zoom shot also disables enemy weapons. The movable turret, which turns your chain gun into 4 fast-moving guns, and lastly, my favorite, the chain attachment for the super shotgun, which adds an enhanced level of mobility and can be upgraded to set enemies on fire, which gives you more ammo. I actually didn't use or like most of the rune upgrades and found them to be kind of useless, but I did like the ones that I primarily used, which were the ones that slows down time when using a secondary fire, just helps with aim and setting up for battles. The enhanced aerial movement, which I used primarily in Doom 2016 as well, just gives you more control over aerial mobility, and the speed boost after performing glory kills, which just lets you speed up after glory killing an enemy. I use those the most, and then here and there I would also replace the slowdown one for the one that staggers enemies longer for glory kill attacks. There's a lot more platforming in this game as well, and that also has become a point of contention with some fans, but I don't really think it's an issue. I didn't find it that hard, and it adds some gameplay variety. 0 out of 10, too much game in my video game. Jumping, what is this, Super Mario? How dare they? I'm starting to understand why God of War took it out now. And sarcasm, really. Didn't mind the platforming, it's fluid, it works, and it isn't hard to get used to. Demon variety is good. Most demons return from 2016, the only exception being the Lost Souls in their solo form and the Summoner, I believe. Eternal brings new demons in the form of a few returning from Doom 2, those being the Pain Elemental, which shoots those lost souls as projectiles, the Arachnotrons, which are smaller and weaker versions of the Spider Mastermind boss, Tyrants, which are weaker versions of the Cyber Demon, but they're back to their Doom classic look, and the Archvile, which summons demons during a fight. I absolutely despise the Archvile in classic Doom. They always gave me anxiety, and they did not give me that much dread in Doom Eternal, to be completely honest. As much as I was expecting, at least. Basically, the Archvile works as the Summoner did in Doom 2016 by summoning in demons to a fight. I actually wish that they brought the Summoner back, because I kind of liked that design and the way it moved around. They could have implemented both, with the Summoner summoning minor demons like imps, and the Archvile summoning in the larger demons like Mancubuses and Hell Knights or something like that. It's a minor gripe. Another minor gripe is that I really didn't like the Baron of Hell redesign. They made them all gray, and as you attack them, they got this bright lava orange, and I just did not like the look of them. I miss the iconic red look from Classic in 2016, and it makes them really hard to tell apart from these new enemies called Dread Knights. Speaking of, some of the brand new demons to Eternal are the Gargoyle, which are basically flying imps, the Whiplash, which is a bitch the first time that you fight it, but after you figure it out, isn't really that bad, the Tentacle, the Prowler, which was a multiplayer exclusive demon from June 2016, and they're basically just upgraded imps. The Maker Drones, the mentioned Dread Knight, which is a upgraded version of the Hell Knight, the Doom Hunter, and the infamous Marauder.
Opening the portal now.
You were never one of us. You were nothing but a usurper, a false idol. My eyes have been opened.
And then there were 3 new bosses. Well, 4 new bosses, technically. The Marauder is another point of contention amongst players. They're fast, with a shield, they do crazy amounts of damage. Early on, they are intimidating and can give you quite a hassle, but once you learn how they move and how to kill them, they really just aren't an issue. You just dash out of the way, hit their dog with a super shotgun, wait for their eyes to turn green, and blast away. Easy peasy. Just keep dodging, moving, and wait for that green glow. There's a multiplayer mode as well, and it's fine. I don't think it will catch on and be the next big thing, but it's fun. It's called Battle Mode. It pits one player playing as a Doomslayer against two players playing as demons. The demons can use whatever demon ability that is dependent on which demon they pick. They can pick a Revenant, a Incubus, a Archvile, a Pain Elemental, and the Marauder. Yeah, and those demons can also summon NPC demons to help out. My biggest gripe with battle mode is that it's pretty unbalanced. It's a best of 3 rounds kind of game, and I think the first 2 rounds are easier for the Doomslayer, as they're a fully upgraded Slayer, can move around and just kill demons with ease. But by the 3rd round, the demons are incredibly overpowered with their summons, and being able to summon multiple Barons of Hell on top of 3 other demons each, and then the 2 player demons on top of that. It's very overwhelming for the Doomslayer. That said, I don't think 2016's multiplayer was that great either, and it died rather quickly and became hard to find matches. I absolutely love arena shooters, and I'd love to see them make a comeback, but at this point I don't think they ever really will. We have seen game after game, from Toxic to Dustworld to Goat of Duty to Lawbreakers to even Unreal Tournament and Quake, try to bring them back, and it just isn't happening. The community doesn't want the formula tampered with, but the community also thinks that the formula is boring. It's a lose-lose catch-22. So unless you are specifically Quake 3 Arena or Quake Live, I don't think there's a point in trying, and I can't see Doom being any different. As much as I love the game, I love arena shooters are dead. Long live arena shooters. Another big issue with the multiplayer is that the servers really suck. Even playing single player, I found myself constantly losing connection to the Bethesda servers. I am playing on PC via Steam, by the way. This makes finding matches kind of irritating and difficult, as a lot of times you just get error messages when looking for matches. There are also some glitches with skins currently, and particularly affecting pre-order bonus skins and Slayer Club skins, but they show up in-game, but they do not show up in the intro scenes for multiplayer. Even though they do show up in cutscenes for single player, which is kind of weird, but they don't show up in gameplay for single player for certain aspects. For example, when punching enemies or jumping from ledges, as seen in this clip here, my skin changes from the classic Doom guy skin to the Praetor suit. My skins earned in-game work perfectly fine, however, including the green classic Doom guy armor. So I have blue, red, brown, and green. The blue, red, and brown are glitched, but the green works fine. It's kind of weird. Overall, the game is very well optimized, though. I have a pretty good computer with a 1070 graphics card, and I was able to run the game at 4K resolution at maxed settings at a smooth 60 or higher frames per second the entire game with no lag or stutter. The only graphical issues I had came from an update to my graphics card driver, and after reverting to an old version, that issue was fixed immediately. It's a very well optimized game that runs great and features a plethora of customization options, from HUD color to weapon placement to filters. You can set it however you prefer. I played around with all the HUD colors at one point, but I play with smoothness at 100, grain filter at 0, weapon placement in the middle, as God intended. That said, I did run into a couple of bugs. One was pretty game breaking, and I had to restart the level to fix it. There is an elevator on the cultist base that broke when I used fast travel to get some secrets, and I could not progress any further to get that secret. Also on the cultist base, when going through the master levels version, at the part where you play as the Revenant to retrieve the super shotgun, the game was stuck in slow motion, and during the beginning of that segment, the Doom guy could be seen running. It was kind of weird. I got through the part fine, and the game fixed itself. There was also another map that towards the end of... No, actually, this was the first map, actually, I was replaying, and the map didn't load. I came through the door, and you just see this giant Titan walking in front of you with no map. It's kind of weird. But other than those bugs, I didn't really run into any glitches or issues. The graphics are actually very good. You get to see some really detailed set pieces, and the environments are very cool to look at if you find yourself stopping long enough to admire them. You can actually see detailed backgrounds with a lot of stuff going on. Cacodemons flying in the distance, which you can actually kill, and they mention giant titans lumbering around with ruins and wreckage and giant mechs deserted from past battles. It's a sight to see. I really only have a few major complaints with the game as a whole. One is that there aren't a lot of power-ups in the game. One of my favorite parts of Doom 2016 is getting a Berserk power-up and just going to town on some demons for a bit. In my entire playthrough, I think I got 2 haste power-ups, 2 quad damage power-ups, and 1 Berserk power-up. 2, I think the level design is weak in some areas compared to 2016. In most ways, the level design is very good and actually better than 2016. But I can't help but feel in some places, I don't want to say lazy, but they just kind of threw a refresh pickup so you can recharge your dash or rad suit mid-jump or while you're swimming, which is a really minor complaint, but the main complaint comes in with the invisible wall shenanigans hindering exploration or forcing you to solve certain puzzles or find collectibles in a specific way. There were so many times where I saw a collectible and I could have made a trick jump to get it, but the world would just bring me back to the ledge due to an invisible out-of-bounds barrier. Also, those purple goose sections that slow you down and make you unable to jump just sucked. And lastly, much to my disappointment, I don't think the soundtrack is as good as 2016. I love 2016 soundtrack. I listen to it all the time. I have it on CD and vinyl. It's great. Mick Gordon did a fantastic job with it. BFG Division is the best video game soundtrack song of all time. There, I said it. Don't get me wrong, Eternal's soundtrack isn't bad. It's not bad at all. It's just that it isn't as good as 2016. It's more atmospheric in nature, and there's no standout tracks for me like there are like At Doom's Gate, Flesh and Metal, Harbinger, or Skullhacker. It actually does have BFG Division Return in it, but that's a song from 2016. The unlockable vinyl that you can get in the game and actually play in your time in the Fortress of Doom is really cool. It features tracks from the classic Doom, Quake 2 and 3, Commander Keen, Wolfenstein, and much to my satisfaction, Quake Champions in the form of Goroth. A very underrated track from the mind of Andrew Hulshult. That song is fucking awesome. Andrew Hulshult is the, I hope I'm saying that name right, the composer who worked on Quake Champions, part of Quake Champions. There were a couple composers that worked on that, but also did the soundtracks for Brutal Doom, Dusk, Amid Evil, Proteus, and Bombshell, amongst some other games. The dude is just as much of a badass as Mick Gordon is. Like I say, I don't think Eternal's soundtrack is bad at all. The BFG 10,000 and Super Gornest themes are great. I just think the soundtrack as a whole is a little less in your face than 2016 and isn't as memorable because of that. That said, 6 months from now, I'm probably going to be like, yo, this soundtrack is amazing after I get my digital copy, and I'm going to find myself listening to it all the time. So I'm just going to preemptively say I was wrong about it and that I love the soundtrack because I know that's probably going to happen a while from now. Now, for the brief spoiler discussion. I'm going to put a time code on your screen so you can avoid where to click. Okay? We good? Cool. So Doom Eternal actually brings the fight to heaven with what are called the Makers in the universe. You find out demons are their method basically for bringing humans penance for their sin. You take the fight to them and kill their leader, which sets in motion the resurrection of the Icon of Sin from Doom 2. The Khan Maker and Icon of Sin make up 2 of the 3, I'll say 4 boss fights. The other ones are a new demon called the Gladiator and an arena-style boss called the Eyes of Calibos. None of the boss fights are overly difficult, and once you figure out their patterns and they're more time-consuming than anything else. But overall, I found them fun to fight. With the death of the Khan Maker and the Icon of Sin by the hands of Doomguy, Earth seems to be saved, and Doomguy returns home to the Fortress of Doom to await the next demonic threat. In the ending, I'm not sure how they're going to tie in a third game, but I'm imagining it's going to be something to do with the Sentinels lore emperor and the king that showed up at one point. It might be like a John Wick situation where they cast out Doomguy or something. I don't know. It's kind of what my brain is thinking here. Other things worth noting is that the game makes all of the Doom games canon and parts of the comic even, revealing Doomguy's origin as a Sentinel and as a Marine named Flynn Taggart, which is his name from the Doom comics, and even has him speak with lines straight out of the Doom comics.
We found him in the valley, just outside the castle walls. He was badly wounded and wearing this.
Guts. Huge guts. Kill them. Must kill them all.
He has fight in him yet.
In spite of his injuries.
Send him to the arena. Let him be judged like the others.
Other than that, there are countless Easter eggs that point to Daisy and Daisy's death being the cause for Doomguy's anger. Also, they never really explain what happens to Samuel Hayden between 2016 and Eternal. They just never go into why he betrayed you in 2016 or how he got damaged in Eternal or why he even begins to help you again. It's just a drop plot point. Alright, enough with the spoilers. Here is my final word. Doom Eternal is a great game. There are not many flaws with it, but there are some here and there. The issues I do take are minimal. It's impossible to call any game perfect, but Doom Eternal is a damn good shooter. I don't know if I would call it the greatest shooter of all time, like some people are, but I think it is heads and shoulders above most other shooters in the market. It's a great game with a lot of fun. I sunk about 30 hours into the game, completing the story and finding all the unlocks and secrets on Nightmare, and I can 100% recommend it for yourself. There are a bunch of cool skins to unlock, which you can use in both single player and multiplayer, and you can even unlock and play Doom 1 and 2 in it. And if you're on PC, you can get them to work with mods. It's a definite recommendation for me. There are a million other things I can go into detail with Doom Eternal, but I have talked long enough, and we still need our second review. So, on to Dennis's opinion.
Money is God.
What's up, guys? Juan Snow 926 back after some time with some new videos for you guys. Hope you guys are keeping safe during all the madness out there and what's going on in the world. Personally, I'm still working since I work at the bank, so life for me really hasn't changed, honestly, which is kind of why it's taken so long to do this review. I'll be honest though, at this point I haven't finished Doom Eternal. Right now I'm about 2/3 of the way done or so, but we wanted to just get this review out to you guys ASAP, and since I'm not fully done, I'm essentially just doing a short, quick little review of it for now. If when I finish the game I feel like it deserves a full-on review, I will post that on my channel separately. So to start off, I'll start by saying this. Do I like Doom Eternal? Hell yeah, it's an amazing game, and I absolutely love this game. If you haven't already got it, go out and buy it, or better yet, just download it on PlayStation Store, Xbox Store, Steam, whatever you have, so that you don't have to leave the house. But I will say this, I truly think, in my opinion, that the first Doom 2016, is better than Doom Eternal, honestly. In my opinion, Doom 2016 just had better music, it had better level design, which in my opinion was really cool, all the different levels you could go to, and I just thought the story was a little bit better. Not to say that all those things in this game are bad, but I just felt they were better executed the first time around. So first to start off with, I'll start off with music. The music in this game is amazing. I mean, don't get me wrong, I mean, just listen to this shit. In my opinion, none of the music really compares to the music in 2016 Doom. If you just listen to this little recording from my first playthrough back in 2016. Guess what? I'm out.
I'm willing to take full responsibility for the horrible events of the last 24 hours, but you must understand our interest in their world was purely for the betterment of mankind. Everything has clearly gotten out of hand now, yes. But it was worth the risk.
Holy crap. This is like Man the video game. Metal music. Blood, guts, and guns. Let's do this. Yeah, I rest my case. Gameplay wise, they have made some minor improvements. The game is a lot faster than that of Doom 2016, and that's a good thing in my opinion. It makes it kind of feel like the old OG Doom, and I like that. It does, however, take a little getting used to because it is so fast, but after about 30 minutes or so, you kind of get the hang of things. Newly added Arm Blade makes for some amazing glory kills, and the Flame Belch is awesome. I just love running around and lighting shit on fire and beating the shit out of people. Grenades are great as well, but I didn't find myself using the freeze bomb really at all. I used it maybe for a level or two, and then I just kind of switched back to normal grenade. So I really didn't see a point to that one, but maybe it's just me. Level design is great as well, but I feel like after playing on Earth for a level or two, it all just kind of blends together for me. I mean, there's only so much you can do with office buildings and parking lots and trucks and stuff until it all kind of starts to feel the same over and over and over again. I did like the little hub world though, however. I liked being able to kind of explore it and run around and stuff. Everything's freaking huge though. I did like the changes in Doom 2016, however, though, like going down to Hell, going to Mars, going outside of Mars and kind of walking around rather than in the buildings. It all just kind of changed things up a little bit, and I like that. So yeah, I don't know, maybe it was just me, or maybe it's because I haven't finished the game yet that I feel this way, but I feel that Doom 2016 was better than 2020 Doom in my opinion. Not by a ton, but just by a little bit. I would give Doom Eternal probably an 8 out of 10, and I would give Doom 2016 a 9 out of 10. Some other little minor changes that they did make in Doom Eternal was the new progression for the character. You can upgrade your standard, like your guns. You can do that again in this game, just like you could in Doom 2016. You can upgrade your Predator suit, just like you could in the previous game. But this time you can also upgrade your equipment a little bit, which is nice. And it's pretty easy to find all the stuff you need to upgrade it. Yeah, like I said, I give Doom Eternal an 8 out of 10. I just felt like they could have done a few things here and there to kind of just improve the game overall. Just a little bit of better music, switch up the levels a little bit. Like I said, I'm only about 2/3 of the way done, so maybe the last third of the game has different crazy levels that are all over the place that I might enjoy more. But at this point, I feel like most of it's just kind of been in burned up office buildings and parking lots and stuff like that, and I feel like they could do a little bit more to change that. Yeah, that is my review so far of Doom 2016. Hope you guys are all out there staying safe. Hope everybody you know is staying safe and healthy, and everybody's just making it through this one day at a time. Until next time, guys, this is Juan Snow 926. Peace.